Welcome back to the channel. If this happens to be your first time, then thanks for tuning in and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if this is not your first time, then thanks for coming back. In this video, we're going to be talking about emulation and how it's something we should be very careful about. Emulation is a very common thing. You know, with the rise of social media, there are these people that are very popular, famous, trendy, and people usually want to copy them. Maybe it's what they wear and it's very attractive, or it's what they say, or it's what they eat, or it's what they do. You just want to be like them because they're influential somehow. And obviously, it's not just in social media, but I just use that as an example because it's very popular in our world today. But emulation, especially that kind, is not really good for a couple of reasons. One, you don't even have to be a Christian or anything to understand this. You don't really have a life of your own when you emulate other people. It's the life of others that you like to live. It's the clothing of others that you want to wear. It's the cars of others you want to drive and stuff like that. So you don't really have a purpose. More importantly, when it comes to your spiritual life, you can't really have a relationship with God because when it comes to doing the will of God, it's more about a quiet life, trying to live a pure life, have a pure heart. If you read Psalm chapter 24, verse 4. So it's more about trying to live in righteousness. And it's very hard to do that if you're distracted by what's going on in the world, always wanting to do what everyone else is doing, trying to catch up with trends. A typical example of what I'm talking about in the scriptures was the behavior of the nation of Israel. They were natural emulators. They liked to do whatever was in front of them. When they lived among the heathen nations, even though God Almighty explicitly told them that they were His people, if you read Exodus chapter 19, verses 4 to 6, and they were supposed to care about Him and use His principles to live their lives, they began to copy what the heathen were doing. Remember, the heathen didn't copy them, but they wanted to copy the heathen. If you read Psalm chapter 106, verses 34 and 35, the psalmist stated, "They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works." Note that last phrase, and learned their works. That is emulation. And that eventually cost them their entire relationship with God. But as we always look at in this channel, there is a spiritual solution to everything. And if we want to overcome emulation, the simplest way to do that is to simply not imitate things in the worlds that we see, but rather imitate righteousness, be it through studying the scriptures and trying to copy righteous people in the Bible, or when we see a righteous man in the world, someone who's doing the will of God as described in the Bible, that we copy that person. John said in 3 John verse 11, "Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good." Furthermore, Paul was telling his followers to follow him, emulate him. If you read 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1, because he was a good example to others. He told the Romans in Romans chapter 11, verses 13 and 14, "For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am an apostle of the Gentiles. I magnify my office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them." So the kind of emulation Paul was talking about here was righteous emulation. He wanted people to copy his example. And anyone who would do so would be doing the will of God. If you read Philippians chapter 1, verses 12 to 14, there were some Philippians who copied his example and began to spread the message and have spiritual courage. And Paul was happy about that because that is righteous emulation. And if you read 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 13, St. Peter told us that when we practice righteous emulation, when we copy what is good, no one is going to harm us. No one is going to come after us because that creates peace in our lives. He said, "And who is he that will harm you if ye be followers of that which is good. So, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified when we come out with our next Smart Spiritual Solutions video. And if you happen to have any questions about emulation and what I said about it, then drop it in the comment section below and we'll answer your questions. Have a great day, and God bless you.